It's one of my favorite interviews every year. Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater ends its national tour in Newark at NJPAC May 8th through the 10th, Mother's Day weekend. What a tradition it has been through the years. And joining us today to talk about the performances is the new artistic director, Alicia Graf Mack. Alicia, great to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
For those who aren't familiar with the work of Alicia Graf Mack, the renowned dancer and educator, star performer on the Ailey stage, where she enjoyed a spectacular career between 2005 and 2014, she was brought into the company and mentored by the incomparable Judith Jamison. After Miss Graf Mack's retirement from performing, she went on to distinguish herself as the dean and director of the dance division of the Juilliard School. And now she returns to Ailey as only the fourth artistic director in the company's nearly 70-year history. So I ask you, what's been the biggest transition for you so far when it comes to leading this company?
For me, the biggest transition, but also the point of most joy, is not to be on the stage, but to now be in the audience, witnessing these incredible artists, 32 dancers who make up the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, light up the stage and light up the hearts and imaginations of all of our audience members across the country and across the world. It has been such a gift to be in the audience now. I never thought about that aspect of being an artistic director, that you really get to feel the type of impact that the company makes, no matter where we are performing.
The fact that you were literally in their shoes
Yes.
has to be comforting, and I guess the respect is automatically there when it comes to the company. Alicia's our new artistic director. They know of your career, they know of your success with the company. That had to make the transition easier, right?
I think it does because the dancers are superhuman beings. What we ask of them, what we ask of their physicality, for them to maintain their physical instrument on the highest level every day, to travel, to be away from family, to be away from friends, and to pour everything that they can into the work. They know that I have experienced that before. So when I'm creating programs, schedules, when I'm speaking with the dancers, I have that firsthand experience in mind. And I also understand how hungry the dancers are to not only embody Mr. Ailey's incredible choreography, because that's why they're there, surely, but also to stretch themselves by learning new works, by performing work of choreographers that they've never worked with before, and to travel and to actually live their life on the stage, which is such a gift for any artist to be able to actually do the thing that they have trained to do their whole lives.
When I say the name Alvin Ailey, what immediately comes to your mind?
Power, presence, and the word icon, cultural icon. Mr. Ailey's name is synonymous with the beauty of America, of Black America, of diversity, of richness, of art. There are so many words that we can find that feel fitting for this incredible human being. It's amazing to know the impact that his life has made on not just the dance world, but on our entire cultural fabric as well.
One thing that you and I have in common, a great love for the late Judith Jamison.
Yes.
In 2024, we lost her, and she and I developed this incredible relationship over the years of all the time she came into the studios in Newark at WBGO. And I would talk to her about how I loved how this company had all different shapes and sizes
Hmm.
and how beautiful it was. It really got me into dance, to be honest with you, Alicia. I really wasn't a fan of dance until I came to see the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, to a point where she was even on my Sports Jam podcast talking about the differences between dancers and athletes on the field, and how I
Mhm.
wish that some of the performers were tight ends for the Pittsburgh Steelers because of their acrobatic and beautiful
Yes.
graceness, right? So we both miss her very much. What did she mean to you?
Uh, I always call Miss Jamison my North Star. She is someone that I idolized as a child, not knowing that I would one day work under her direction and then become one of her children, one of her mentees as I grew into my adulthood, into motherhood, and transitioning careers into higher education and arts leadership. She is someone that has been a part of me even when I didn't know her. For as long as I can remember, I had posters of Miss Jamison in my childhood bedroom. This is the type of, deep love and respect that I had for her. And then to be selected by her to join the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 2005 was the realization of a big, big dream. To have someone like that light the path and then walk with you along the path is a blessing that is just beyond. She taught me so much about uh, clarity, intention, about honesty, about being truthful in your art, and then how you deliver information to people. And she taught me a lot about what it means to live in a legacy as you hold the torch, if you will, for Mr. Ailey, what it means to keep his vision alive. I experienced firsthand as her dancer, but then also as one of her, many mentees, as she, really took care of people who she loved. And so I continue to feel a sense of gratitude about our relationship.
Alicia Graf Mack has been a part of my office for many years. And you say, well, how is that possible? Well, that's possible because on the back of the wonderful 50th anniversary Barbie doll that Judith Jamison presented to me, which was the first of a collection I would have in my office, on the back of that package, that's Alicia Graf Mack.
Yes, I am holding the umbrella. Another way that I have stepped into the shoes of Miss Jamison, who also was the umbrella woman in Alvin Ailey's Revelations. I don't know how I got so lucky to land on the back of that Barbie doll box, but what an incredible honor.
Yeah, now Revelations is always a part of the performances at NJPAC and will be again. But there are several new dancers from wonderful choreographers. Do you want to highlight a few for us?
Sure. Yes, we'll be closing every evening with Ailey's Revelations, but also continuing to think about how we innovate and expand upon his legacy. We will be presenting a few new works, including a piece called Jazz Island. It's by Maya Garcia. This piece is a beautiful story ballet that takes place somewhere in the Caribbean. It's a mythical, sort of folkloric piece that is inspired by Jeffrey Holder's short story called Black Gods, Green Islands. So that's really fun because each dancer has a character and you follow along this very clear story, which we don't always do these days. A lot of our work is more abstract. There's also another piece called Embrace that is created by Frederick Earl Mosley. I call him an Ailey family member. He danced for the second company as a young person, trained in our school, and now he's a faculty member and also a choreographer for our company. This piece is set to popular music that you will surely recognize and love. Pieces by Stevie Wonder, by Etta James, Maxwell, Pink, Ed Sheeran, and Desiree. So that's always a crowd pleaser. Then there's a work called Blink of an Eye. That's by Mehdi Wolersky and composed by Bach. So it is old music made new through this virtuosic contemporary choreography. Then there's a solo called Song of the Anchorite. It is choreographed by Jamar Roberts, who actually was my dance partner for many years as we both danced in the company together. And now he's created this solo that is inspired by a work that Mr. Ailey made for himself in 1961 called Hermit Songs. And lastly, we have a piece called Difference Between that is choreographed by Matthew Neenan. This work is created to a canvas of music by Heather Christian. She is a recent MacArthur Genius Fellow. This music is extremely layered and touching and creates a beautiful backdrop for the work that he's created. So I know that everyone will enjoy these programs. Um, and we look forward to seeing everyone, especially to celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday.
Absolutely. Now, Blinkum and I've had a chance to listen to all the tunes for the performances. Blinkum and I performed by Itzhak Perlman, who
Mm,
we have had here on WBGO.
yes.
A powerful piece. And that's the beauty of the Ailey Company. You talk about all these different genres of music, and that's just another example. But jazz is always a part of the Ailey performances. When were you exposed to jazz music?
I think I've been exposed to jazz music for a long time as my dad is a fan of all types of music, but definitely had jazz playing in our home as a young child. I studied music, I studied piano, and being a dancer, uh, being a musical artist, I've had the great gift to collaborate with so many, jazz artists um, and also in my role as dean and director at the Juilliard School, which has a renowned jazz program uh, chaired by Wynton Marsalis. Um, there's just so many connections. And I have to say, Mr. Ailey's connection to jazz music and to the greats like Duke Ellington, who was a close friend and collaborator, you start to feel like you get to know these people even though they have passed because you have an intimate relationship with their artistry through dancing to their work and really studying and researching the music.
Yeah, can you imagine if you go to NJPAC on Mother's Day weekend, at last, the
Mhm.
fabulous Ailey dancers doing Etta James at last. I mean, that
Yes.
that in itself is just worth the trip. From very little on, you knew you wanted to be a dancer. I mean, from right at the start. Why?
I don't know. I always say that it's written in my DNA. I'm made to move. From the moment I think I landed on this earth, I was moving, I was dancing, and my parents recognized that I had a passion for moving. And I started classes at 2.5 years old. I'm sure it was creative movement classes, pretend to be a flower, jump over the little disc on the floor like a frog or what have you. But it inspired imagination and the idea that movement can ignite communication for someone like me who was very, very shy as a child. Performing, I could be something that I couldn't naturally be just, sitting and speaking. So it became my superpower. And I feel connected to that love, same as I did as a kid.
It's always inspiring when we hear about somebody who says that, I was a shy kid, but finding that space that you feel comfortable and you can be you and you can be exciting is exciting for us to know that. And now look how far you've come. What's your family think about this new artistic director of the Alvin Ailey American
Oh,
Dance Theater?
my parents are just in awe because they'll remind me, remember when you used to, look at Miss Jamison's photos and dream about dancing for Ailey. I have a sister who is also a dancer, two brothers, but my sister danced and she attended the Ailey summer intensives when she was young. So the Ailey, organization was always like in the ethos of our family. My parents took us to see dance all the time. I'm from the Maryland area. We would go to the Kennedy Center every year to see Ailey as young kids. But now I have children of my own that I get to introduce them to the Ailey legacy. And my daughter, who is 9, is also a little dancing dreamer. And she is loving the journey, learning how to dance, but also I am teaching her her dance history to make sure she knows where she comes from.
That's fabulous. And that also means that Mother's Day weekend will have a couple of generations for you that makes it special.
Yes, absolutely. And we have mothers who are dancers in the company. So I'm so excited to honor them as well. Sarah Daly Perdomo and Constance Samatiu are mothers, and they light the stage in such a beautiful way with their rich and very mature artistry.
Even though you're from the Baltimore area, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
Newark has always been a special place for the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and
Mhm.
you've performed on that stage many times. What is
Yes.
it about that Newark audience? It just roars, especially when Revelation starts. But some of these intimate dances, the crowd's response is amazing.
hmm Yes, it feels like home. It's always wonderful to enter into a space, and even before the curtain has lifted, you can feel the excitement and hear the excitement from the audience. That lifts the spirits of the dancers. No matter how exhausted their bodies are, no matter how tired, you know that you're about to dance for family. You're about to dance for your community, for people who enjoy creating tradition with their families of coming to see the performances and really coming as a way of renewal, of being uplifted, of finding joy in the experience of being an audience member. So I think it's a very special responsibility that we have as dancers that I know each of the performers embrace always.
You've had many conversations with Judith Jamison, but you've never had the opportunity to talk with Alvin Ailey. So he magically shows up in the front row of NJPAC for Mother's Day weekend. And he comes backstage, and you get a chance to ask him a few questions. What would you want to know from him?
Before I ask any questions, I probably would have to like wipe the sweat off my brow and try to gather myself first. But actually, the first thing I would just say is thank you. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your artistry. Thank you, thank you, thank you for lighting the way. And then I would say, how did you find a way to be authentic with your voice? I think in a time where he was a first. He was a first to really demonstrate the the beauty of our richness. And when I say our, all people, as you mentioned earlier, seeing so many different bodies and colors and richness on stage. He really created that mold for the rest of the dance world to follow. How did you do it? What did you think about every day when you know, opened your eyes in the morning and ventured to work with these dancers? What inspired you to keep going? I think that's probably what I would ask.
As the season wraps up, I would imagine towards the last couple performances, we're going to see some tears coming from the eyes of Alicia.
Yes, I think part of it is that Newark essentially ends our US tour. We have been on a 20-city US tour. It has been incredible. We've been on the road basically since the end of January. And for me, experiencing the tour for the first time in this role as artistic director has been an exercise of love and also endurance. There's something about stamina that is necessary even when I'm not physically performing, but just to be there, to be present, to always be a force for good as we travel around the world and around the country. But I just feel so grateful. So if you see tears, it's mostly tears of joy.
Hmm. So from Alvin Ailey to Judith Jamison to Robert Battle to Matthew Rushing and now Alicia Graf Mack. You and Matthew put this program together for the season. I'm
Yes.
always amazed. What's the process like for that?
Well, I think that it's an iterative process. Oftentimes, works are created and curated many years in advance because you need the specific time that's necessary to create a work or to know that a stager of an existing work is available. So, things kind of come together on a rolling 2 to 3 year basis, I would say. So there were some ideas that Matthew already had in motion. And then we worked together to make sure that the repertory was very diverse. So then I kind of worked with him to fill in the gaps. If there was something very classical, that we have something very contemporary. We always want something that's surprising and different. He brought Maya Garcia to make Jazz Island, which does follow the tradition of Alvin Ailey American dance theater, as that was something that was very important to Mr. Ailey, but not something that we had done recently. So we're always trying to find works that sort of complement each other and that make a diverse palette of work to tour.
Well, if you've been as fortunate as I have to see my guest today perform on stage as a dancer for the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, you know the talent that she had as a dancer, and you know from her work now at Juilliard, and now the new artistic director for the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Dynamite! That's what you can expect. Power, dynamite, entertainment, and some tears too when you come to see this wonderful performance May 8th through the 10th at NJPAC in Newark. Alicia Graf Mack, what an honor to have you on the show. Continued success.
Thank you so, so much.